So, welcome to Against the Machine. And I'm here with Isaac and Seth. They are two young men in our community that have some interesting interests.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Interesting interest.
Interesting interests.
That's where you would go with that?
That's the best I got, man.
Okay.
That's the best I got. Interesting interests.
Yeah.
Fair. And I just had you guys on to get your perspectives. And I'm a little disconnected with the younger generation, being, I'm like 34 now, and you guys are...
That's just a little bit out.
A little bit, yeah. So, and I just wanted to kind of get your take on the world today as it is, the economic and political, and maybe even the religious crises, spiritual crises that we have in our day and age, and see what kind of pessimistic or optimistic take that you might have on where we're going with our future, and what you guys see, and what you guys are doing to prepare for what it is that you see. Or is it that maybe you don't even think about it, you just kind of like...
I think that people are kind of just sort of in a perpetual state of anxiety about
Always.
The future. I mean, with seeing what AI is doing right now, can you imagine? Can you look into the future 3 years and imagine even what the world's going to look like?
Oh man,
you have no idea.
It's hard to even wake up tomorrow and imagine what that's going to be.
Exactly.
You don't know what's going to show up on the news anymore.
Yeah. And every day is just like something. You forget about what happened yesterday, Start up the new day and let's get pissed about something else.
Yeah, it's like every morning someone hits the reset button.
Yeah. Just forget about the terrible thing that happened yesterday. Like, what's today?
What is today?
Something new in the news cycle.
Always.
I mean, who remembers Ukraine? I'm pretty sure they're still fighting over there.
Who's Ukraine?
Who's Ukraine? Who's Ukraine? You mean Little Russia? That one?
Yeah, that one.
I'm pretty sure they just got absorbed, right?
Pretty close.
Working on it.
Weren't we just talking about last week how they aren't on the up and up? Donald Trump's giving them money. Isn't that what it is? Hate on Ukraine, and then as soon as they're getting attacked, oh, we love them again.
No.
Some news happening with Donald Trump today, I think.
There is?
I don't know.
Well, he just won the Iowa caucus.
He won everything, I think.
By a landslide.
Yeah.
It's, I don't know. Maybe it's that we don't have anyone competent on the other side to even give him a challenge.
No,
and it's not even that I think that he's competent to run the country. It's just that he's the best we have.
Well, why do you need a competent politician? Like, who needs someone competent?
No, when you have the corporate state.
No,
exactly.
No. Exactly.
We'll just let the corporate state run everything instead.
You will be told what to think, where to go, where to piss.
You will own nothing.
Be happy. Yeah.
And be happy.
That's terrifying. Oh my gosh, that's terrifying. Could you imagine not owning anything, and then you just get on your phone, which is not yours, by the way.
Oh, yeah.
You don't own it, and you say, I need to use this power tool. Ship it over to me, and I'll ship it back to you after I'm done with it. But you're not even using it on anything you own either.
So do you see... if we're not going to own anything, do you see a social credit score in your future? So that it kind of allows you to own certain grades of things, maybe,
I couldn't imagine me ever willfully accepting a social credit score.
Yeah, but they're talking about 15-minute cities and social credit scores and things like that in the future of America.
It's like, oh, you bought 2 beers yesterday. You can't buy a candy bar today because you've had a little bit too much sugar. You've had too much crap today.
Yeah.
That's terrifying. What if they say, we think you've got enough ammunition. We think you've got enough food stored away. We're just not going to let you buy anymore.
Yeah.
You look in the pantry and you're like, there's nothing to eat. It's full, but there's nothing to eat. You try to go out into the store and buy something, like, go eat the stuff at home.
But there's nothing at home.
There's nothing at home.
Because they took that too.
They took that too, exactly.
Yeah. There's a lady that I've listened to, and her name is Yanni Parks.
Yeah.
Yeah. And her and her mother escaped from North Korea. And she tells stories
I
like
think
that.
I've seen some of her
Yeah,
stuff.
she tells stories of how the bottom class literally feed on each other.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
You know, and they have piles of bodies that sit outside of the rundown hospitals, or just, you know, dilapidated building
Free
they call
snacks.
a hospital. and you know, the rats are eating the dead bodies, and the kids are chasing the rats, and then the kids are eating the rats, and then they get diseases from the rats, and then they go to the hospital where they get vaccines where they've used the same needle on, you know, the last 500,000 people that have gone through there, and then they're pretty well dead as they get out the door anyway, so you just put them on the pile, and the rats eat the dead bodies, and the kids eat the rats.
I think that it's disgusting that we can sit here and talk about this and joke about this without.
It's not.
You don't.
Not a joke.
You feel kind of like a little bit of emotion about that. You feel bad for them, but you're so far from the start. So many horrible things have happened that you're numb to it. That
it's not. I don't know that it's that. I think it's just something that this country has never experienced anything like that.
Mm-mm.
I mean, at least within our generational memories.
Mm-hmm.
You know, this country has never experienced anything like that, and so you can't really, unless you have seen something like that, to attach an emotion to something that horrible and evil. You can't even fathom. You can't. So you're like to try to go that far into your mind, and like try to abstractly experience such, you know, evil and such horror.
It's not possible.
You can't. So you're like, you just kind of have to smile a little bit, and like almost.
Lucky me.
It's so traumatic to even think about that. Like you just kind of joke about it. It's not a joke.
Yeah.
It's not a it's not a joke. It's very
Yeah.
serious. It's something that's horrible and something that you never want to experience. I mean, I don't want my kids to experience, but like you can't even fathom that unless you've experienced it.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's not a joke, and it could come right here. And I think that's exactly why I started this podcast, is because I was listening to someone talk about a security state, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I think we were talking about this earlier. We were talking about the Jordan Peterson podcast, where he was talking to the actor that got arrested in the UK.
Yeah.
And I, for the life of me, can never remember his name, but all he did was speak out against a policy coming down the pipeline in his government, and they kicked in his door and they threw him in jail. You know, so
that shouldn't be a thing that happens.
No, like that is an authoritarian,
Mm-hmm.
totalitarian state. At that point, like if you don't have free speech, you have nothing.
Mm-hmm.
Because once you control speech, you control thought.
Yeah,
because
you
now
control the new ideas too.
Yeah, well, you start to, even if you like the pronouns thing now. In our culture, and in a lot of like more, I guess, liberal states, you know, they have issues with people that will censor themselves. Well, that's still censoring.
The social censorship.
Yeah. Like, or what really gets me is when I see people on Facebook, or they'll put up this meme, or they'll put some comment of like, the Holy Spirit told me to shut my mouth. That is social censoring, and you can go ahead and like say it's something spiritual if you want, but like that's social censoring, and it's you just not having the balls to put your ideas out there. So I got to the point where I was like, I was listening to this podcast, and at the end they said, in America, if you have something to say, you need to say it. As a population, you need to speak up, and the small people need to speak up. And they need to start getting their ideas out there, because by just sitting back and hoping that your vote will change the course of the country, you're doing exactly what they want. You're shutting up.
Yeah.
Exactly what they want.
Yeah. I feel like that happens a lot with our generation, though.
Yeah.
We just sort of sit back and hope that things are going to be better tomorrow.
Yeah.
It's not say anything.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm not going to put in the work. I'll let this guy over here put in the work, or everything will fall, and either we're dead or something's going to be better. You know, the only way to go is up.
And it used to be a thing that the older generation would mentor the younger generation and teach them the morals and teach them the ways of, of coming up. But now that it's as if the older generation is almost too busy to teach the younger generation anything, or it's just that the older generation is too damn lazy.
That's true, yeah.
And teaching requires a lot of talking, a lot of spending time, and like just discussing ideas, and it's being ideological in things. It's creating thoughts and thought processes around concepts and around ways of thinking and around moral complications and values and hierarchies and things of that nature. And that is teaching. And when you don't have an older generation that's going to step up to do that, you get a dependent generation later.
Yeah.
Because they don't know what the fuck to do.
No, they don't. Well, it's like people more often than not, they're not sitting there to listen. They're sitting there to react.
Yeah.
We're sitting here. You could bring up some idea that you had, and before I even let you finish, I could be offended at what you've already said.
Mm-hmm.
I mean,
and completely missing the point.
Exactly. Yeah. There's no reason to be pissed off at these new ideas that people are having, or even people bringing up older ideas.
Mm-hmm.
We should be able to freely explore these things without saying, without acting like it's poison. It's just not right.
Yeah, and I like that you brought up poison, because it's that factor, like a disgust factor. Mm-hmm. As soon as you apply a disgust factor to something, like the younger generation having like progressive ideas, right? And maybe it doesn't fit an old tradition. Well, normally what you'll find in an older generation is that they'll apply some sort of disgust factor to what is being done, to the tradition. It's maybe it's like tarnishing, the tradition, in some way, and a tarnish is a disgust.
Yeah.
And it's that thing, and so that's something you got to watch for within a totalitarian and authoritarian state as well, is how they apply disgust factors within the culture, and what they make you think is disgusting, or a phobia, or something along those lines.
The specific words that they're using.
Yeah,
to
watch
describe
the
these
words.
things.
Watch the words. Yeah.
You control the words, and you're going to control how people think. Yeah. Exactly. Mm-hmm. Just loops. It all loops back.
Yeah, it's a psychological world, man. Like, words are a psychological world, in my opinion.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it's.
No, your words can change your life.
Yeah.
If you walk around all day telling yourself, "Oh, I'm disgusting and I'm a horrible person," eventually, if you're not already that, you're going to become that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So, now that we've instilled fear in the audience with a totalitarian state upon us, what do you think are some skills that would be good for like a world where maybe we're just trying to live in a world where we're disappearing into the rural areas? Like, that's what I'm doing. Obviously, that's what I'm doing. That's what I'm speaking out for. I'm doing the homesteading and self-regenerative and self-sustainable thing.
I think that a really good base is to start with a liberal arts degree.
Yeah.
And
would you like fries with that?
Yeah. I think that's the best base to have. That's how you survive in a powerless world.
Yes.
In a world that's shut down. What do you think, Isaac?
I definitely agree. I'm sorry. Yeah.
Well, you said you're into blacksmithing and stuff.
Yeah.
So, like, walk us down the road of some skills, that maybe some tool making. Like
you can
knife making and stuff like that. Like,
you can make tools, weapons if you must.
If you must.
If you must.
Yes,
we always must. Everything is a weapon.
But it's also great just to be able to learn like how to take some old crap piece of metal and turn it into something functional and useful. And then, I mean, do that. Learn how to do it with woodworking. You can start building structures. You can start building whatever you need.
Metalworking is a really good base for like sort of imagining something in your head, and you can
it's man's Play-Doh.
It's literally just man's Play-Doh. And it's especially good whenever you put your hands on it.
Yep.
Really hands-on.
Hands-on. Especially when it's hot. Like,
exactly.
It's red. And you feel the heat transfer into your hands. Put your hands on it.
Yeah. For about half a second. Then you lose any feeling in your hands.
Yeah, you don't feel anything after a half second.
Yeah.
When you're out there blacksmithing, everything that you're doing, you're being forced to think about things in a different way than you have before. Yeah. You're looking at this under a new light, quite literally with the red hot furnace scalding your eyes.
Mm-hmm.
But you can get to your end goal, by using these 3 steps, or you can use these 3 steps over here. There's 10 different ways to do it, but that can really apply to just about anything,
Yeah.
You could regenerative farm out of dirt, out of water. Some people do it out of sand. I don't know how you do that, but
there's a lot of
hydroponics, I guess, with the sand. But
a lot of different ways to grow plants.
I guess the point of what I'm saying is this sort of creative activity is all about getting you to think differently, and that could be a really good base for just about anything.
I think homesteading, if a guy could get out of debt and just like get his mouth off of the teat of the government, so to speak, and be completely regenerative and sustainable, and just pull a minimum income of
just whatever you can get.
Man, if you're set up to be fully self-sustainable, what do you really need as far as utilities? If you can provide your own utilities, what bills do you have?
Alcohol.
So you can make your own alcohol.
You're not homesteading without it.
You're not homesteading without alcohol, or mushrooms. The good kind.
Yeah.
Lion's mane, guys.
Yeah.
Turkey tails.
Yeah.
Definitely.
The destroying angel ones. Those ones.
Those things.
Those are the best ones.
Yeah. No, I would definitely try some psilocybins though.
Yeah.
But like what bills do you have? And really at that point it comes down to taxes.
Yeah, it really does. And then what benefits are you getting from paying those taxes in? You're getting nothing. You're getting jack shit.
Not really. I mean, you're supposed to have the potholes fixed in your road occasionally, but where I live, you don't even get blacktop. So we do. Not that road. But
not that road.
That one.
The one over that we don't use. That one. They gave us like 40 feet in the middle of the field. They were like, this is what your taxes are paying for.
That's what you get.
Yep.
Yeah, but I mean, all you need are the skills that you can acquire.
Mm-hmm.
That's what you need. It's an ADD kid's brain. It's an ADD guy's heaven is the homestead.
Yeah.
You have so many things going on. You can dive down so many rabbit holes and explore. Mm-hmm. And as long as you can pull in an income with what you're doing, so your woodworking, your blacksmithing,
gardening, if you
if you really had to, you could just go get like a gas station job,
Yeah, just work, do something minimal.
Just work three days a week or something like that.
And I feel like that would be fulfilling.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I feel like a lot of men are going after that too.
I think so. I think there's a lot of guys that are, and they're realizing that the Mercedes and the Porsches are not necessarily the thing to go chase after.
Well, I mean, we were a lot of us of my generation. We grew up looking at our parents sitting in an office all day, or sitting doing these crappy jobs all day, and then they'd come home and they'd complain about how much pain they were in, how tired they were. They were just always in a shitty mood. It's like, why would I grow up and look at that and say, that's exactly what I want. Yeah. I want to go and I want to do that, and I can earn all this money. They looked at their parents and they said, I see you I see you working to earn money, and I think I can work harder and earn even more money. And we're looking at them and saying, working harder in this shitty environment is not the way to go. Do something more fulfilling with your life. Maybe you'll have less money.
I think work ethic was driven a little too hard into our parents.
Yeah.
Because it came down to they were willing to do anything.
Yeah.
You know, like, I'm not saying you shouldn't, if you're in a shitty position and you have a job and that's the only job you can get, take the job.
Yeah, of course.
You know, but I think it's at the same time, like, work ethic maybe it was driven into our parents a little too hard, as to the point where they were willing to destroy themselves.
Yeah. You see a lot of them getting career jobs and just sticking with this crappy thing that they hate. Our generation, if we don't like something, you just leave.
Yeah.
You quit.
Yeah.
That's it.
Because you can get on YouTube and make money at that point.
Exactly. Yeah. You can get an OnlyFans.
OnlyFans.
I've got 12 right now.
12 friends? Or accounts?
Yeah, no friends. Yeah.
12 accounts.
Yeah.
11 of them AI.
11 of them AI, yeah.
That's a thing, man.
That is a thing.
That's a thing now.
That's terrifying.
Like, there was I just heard a news clip, or I read a news clip, or I heard it on a podcast maybe.
Mm-hmm.
There was a lady that gave up the rights basically to her AI body.
Mm-hmm.
Not gave up the rights. She is getting royalties from whoever in the AI sec wants to
using her image.
So she gets royalties off of it.
That's terrifying. Because could you imagine one day you get like a FaceTime call from your brother or whatever,
but it's not your brother.
It's not your brother. It's an AI. He's telling you something about your Indian cousin who's a prince, and he's a Nigerian prince, and he needs $10,000.
Yeah.
Dude,
that would be scary, man.
Yeah, that's getting scary. AI is getting scary.
Yeah,
for sure.
It's smarter than us. It really is.
Yeah.
At this point, I think you just step back and disconnect.
As best as you can, at least.
Yeah.
I mean,
you guys want to dig a hole in the ground and just disappear?
Yeah, I'm fine with that.
I got 6 acres. I'm trying to get a commune going.
Just start digging holes.
Yeah. Well, actually, that is kind of the plan. I want to, so just outside the house here, behind you guys, I'm going to dig down like 15 feet and level off a section. And then I'm going to put in a retaining wall. And then build it up another 4 feet with rubble underneath. And then put in a cob house.
Okay.
So then all that rubble underneath is just drainage.
Okay.
Right. And then I'm down in the ground at least 10 feet. You know, I'm down far enough in the ground it's gonna block a lot of the south winds coming in the summer. And then I'm on the north facing side, so it's a lot more like temperature control.
Your commune's just gonna turn into an occult. That's what's gonna happen.
I don't want to be a cult leader, man. Like
you could be a really good cult leader.
Kool-Aid's getting expensive, man.
Kool-Aid's getting expensive.
Getting expensive.
I make my Kool-Aid with honey. Poison,
I make my Kool-Aid with honey now.
There you go. Yeah.
The nectar of the gods. No, I don't want to be a cult leader. I've actually gone down that rabbit hole of thinking, man. Like I was like, okay. Once upon a time, this missionary, when I was like 13, 14 years old, this missionary came to our church, and he prophesied over me, and he said,
"That's terrifying."
At 13 and 14, yeah, it's terrifying. Yeah. You know, it's like you're basically getting, like you're seeing a seer. You know, that's what it feels like. You're seeing a seer that's telling you your future. And so like you take that on as a kid, like that's really like heavy as a kid, and he's like telling me I'm going to be a preacher, and I'm like, really? Like, okay.
That's crazy.
But as time went on, and I see how mouthy I am, I'm like, okay, I see how I can think. I'm like, oh, okay, I could be a preacher. And then like I wanted to be a preacher growing up at that point. Like I started to see like in my older teen years how like I wanted to start to become an influencer of something, you know. And then as I got out of that and went to the military and all that, you learn leadership skills in the military, and then I didn't really think about the whole preacher thing, or wanting to be an influencer of any sort or anything like that. But when I got back, and I kind of I'd say I lost my way for a while.
Yeah.
Like after the military telling you who to be, and you get out and you don't know who you are.
You're trying to be autonomous, yeah.
Yeah, you have no idea like what you want to do yet. Like, there's a lot of people that put thought into their futures, but I wasn't that person. Now there's people that got out and did successful things, but like I was just winging it like always.
Yeah.
And so getting out of the military and then losing your way for a while, it makes you think about stuff that you did in the past and maybe how you can tie that into like where you are now, because you go away and you come back to the same area and really nothing changed.
Yeah.
Everything about your life changed, and the way you think and see the world.
You changed.
Like you changed. You come back and the same people are working at the gas station that still like worked. Like it was the same people.
Yeah.
And nothing really changed that much. That was the point. So you're trying to say what you knew back then and applying it now with a new way of thinking, and it doesn't really work because it just doesn't make sense. Because you have more to the equation, and now the whole equation doesn't make sense. And so diving down, trying to get back into church, trying to get back into Christianity, and then like knowing other things outside of that, that just conflicts with
the way you were thinking before.
Like it just doesn't make sense.
You're coming back with a new perspective, still trying to hold on to your old one.
Absolutely, yeah. And so I was I guess we started off with diving down the idea of being a cult leader.
Yeah.
But
so what you're saying is you are going to be a cult leader.
No. That's not what I was saying. I was thinking about the preacher thing, right? Mm-hmm. Well, then it clicked. A preacher's really not that much different than a cult leader.
No.
Like
the message. It's about it.
Yeah, and then the way I started thinking about that, I was like, man, I don't want to do that. I don't want to be the guy with the light shining on him necessarily. Mm-hmm. Although if that's what's required, to be the voice is one thing. To be the person taking all the credit for everything going on and being worshipped and being supplied for and not putting in the work. It's that Orwell, Animal Farm Orwell idea where the pigs are taking over the farm. Yeah. And eventually, they go down the list and the last rule is all animals are equal. Well, then whenever the pigs finally got to the top, they're like, all animals are equal except some animals are more equal. Yeah. It's like, and I don't want to be the some animals are more equal person. Like, I like being in the trenches. Mm-hmm. I like digging holes and planting trees. I like being a part of it. Yeah, I want to be a part of it. And I like putting in the work. I hate putting in factory work. Yeah. I fucking hate factory work. You feel like a cog in the machine. Yeah. And that's what you are.
Button presser number 3.
And that's all you don't feel like you're doing much. And even if, not to take away from people in upper management, but for me, upper management positions don't even apply. Like, they don't call me. I don't want to run a factory. Yeah. I don't want to be in charge of paperwork. I understand paperwork is involved in life. I don't want to be in charge of that paperwork. Yeah.
You don't want it to be your job.
No.
You don't want to do paperwork and then go home to do your paperwork.
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah. So, yeah, that's...
I really think whenever the difference between like working in a factory setting versus sitting at home homesteading, you're gonna, even though you are still a part of multiple people, you're still going to be a cog in some sort of machine, even if you're homesteading at home.
Always.
You get to see the end product. You get to be part of the end product in homesteading. Yeah. Whereas you're just sitting in a factory, just make some more stuff, push it out the door.
I see. That's it. You're a cog in the system, but at least you're creating your system.
Exactly.
Yeah. Like, yeah, you're the main cog
Mm-hmm.
for your system to work, and when you fail, everything fails.
Mm.
There's a lot more responsibility to it, I think, but I think it's more fulfilling, and it's healthier. You know,
That's undeniable.
yeah, it's way healthier, and you get more downtime. Really, once you get your systems up and going, as long as you're surviving, that's all you need. Like, you can lay around if you want, but if you want luxury, then you have to work for it.
You're not on this very specific, rigid 9-to-5 schedule.
Yeah.
That you just don't feel fulfilled in. I mean, you could still be on the same schedule, but you'd still feel more fulfilled making your own stuff.
Yes, I think so. It's a lot of work, but it's a lot of work you want to do, and it's a lot of creative work that you put together.
I go to bed dreaming some nights about the work that I'm going to do the next day. I went to bed thinking about butchering cattle last night. Actually,
oh wow!
I wanted to cut my own steaks, and then proceed to eat the steaks, of course. But
of course, like who doesn't want to do that? And you work in a vegan shop. That's
exactly.
I work in a vegan shop and I dream about meat.
I get up in the morning and then I'm gonna start putting chickpeas on a plate. It's like.
Not the same, man.
It's not the same, man.
It's not even bleeding.
It tastes just like a steak, but it doesn't scream like one when you cut into it.
What kind of steaks do you eat?
Off the cow, directly. Directly off the cow.
It moves as you're slicing it off the cow.
It should move as you're slicing it off the cow. You're not doing it right if you don't.
No. I feel like this has been a conversation between me and Seth.
It has been.
You've not been. You want to weigh in on this?
I like my steaks well done.
You like your steaks well done?
Ew.
Well,
I have a boob.
some people have to go to hell.
It is a sin.
Yeah.
Someone's got to do it.
Someone's got to
Gotta
do
make up
it.
for you guys.
I'm pretty sure that was the 11th commandment. Thou shalt not fully cook your steaks.
Oh man, it should be. I don't trust people that eat well done steaks.
No.
Yeah.
Fair.
I don't trust people that are afraid of like eating raw meats.
I've tried it. It's just not.
If you're eating crap from the grocery store that's gonna have all this other garbage on it, don't eat that raw. Don't do it. But if you've got a farmer that you trust, someone who's growing it organically, it's gonna be safe for you.
Absolutely.
We still want safer for sure.
I slaughtered 2 lambs, like 2 months ago, maybe? About 2 months ago. We did 2 lambs and like 6 ducks and a chicken or 2, something like that.
And that's the best food for you.
Absolutely. And I cut pieces out of the inner loins of my rams and I ate them. And it was so delicious.
That food's gonna be the best tasting food and the best food for you. You know exactly what's gone into that animal. And you haven't put all this other crap that they put in your animals. It's not been genetically modified.
They mowed my lawn.
They did mow your lawn, yeah. And they do it for free, too. You don't have to go out there and run a lawnmower. Everything can sustain itself if you really try hard enough.
Well, I do level it off because they just pick through it, but...
Yeah. That's when you start adding goats and...
Yeah.
Chickens, maybe?
Yeah.
Chickens would kind of scratch.
They would go for the
dirt.
bugs.
Oh, I
They
mean,
would go for the bugs.
I have the chicken pasture out back, and it flourishes with grass all the time. Like, every year, it's full of grass, and then I let my goats eat that. So
it's fantastic, and it's all just supporting itself.
Mm-hmm.
And then you go outside and shit in the yard to replenish your nutrients. Yeah.
Actually, I like to shit in the yard, and then I step in it and get it on my shoes,
Oh.
and then drag it through the grass so
What?
it spread well.
Why is that so much worse sounding than like stepping in animal poop? You know what I mean?
Because it's yours.
You stepped in a person's crap.
No, my own, on purpose.
You know,
That's worse. No.
you know it would stick more than animal crap too. Maybe not
it's
dog
greasy.
crap.
Yeah.
I don't know.
The fat content is what does it.
Yeah.
We could break down shit for the audience. Yeah. Proteins and carbohydrates.
Yeah.
What goes into it.
Yeah, and all the tasty bits too.
Got some corn in there.
Got some corn. It sustains itself. You just go in and pick out the corn. Free nutrients for later.
I feed it to my birds.
I call this shit soup.
So, how do you feel about your future coming up? Like, what do you want? Where do you see yourself continuing? I know we just said it's really hard to think about like all the chaos going on now, politically and economically, and it seems like my generation, and then followed up by your generation, we're pulling out. Seems like we're pulling out of the system a little bit. You know, we're starting to see the bullshit going on behind the veil. And what I've heard a lot of, you know, philosophers say is if you want to stop a lie, stop participating. And I see a lot of people that are now just stop participating. They're trying to pull out and stop participating at least.
Starting their own stuff.
And they're starting their own stuff. Like it is a revolution now for people like myself to just work to pay off their debt so they can come do this. Mm-hmm. So they can come, you know, grow their own food and shit in their yard and step in it and fertilize their property with it. Yeah, it like they're pushing to go do that more. Mm-hmm. And like Emily, she's getting into the herbs, so she stays home and, you know, she bakes breads and she does sourdough, and that's a new learned skill that's being brought from our grandparents and great grandparents, and it's something that it seems like our parents' generation skipped out on, is those little skills, you know, and then that didn't get passed down.
The women went to work too. Yeah, they weren't staying home and rearing the kids. They were saying, let's send them to daycare. Let's send them to public school, where they just learn crap.
Yeah. Well, it's like the grandparents, like our grandparents, at least my grandparents, they had to work. Mm-hmm. And then so my parents' generation was the forgotten generation.
Yeah.
Gen X. They didn't get to learn the skills because that was the generation that was the generation that didn't get taught skills. It was just the parents were doing the stuff around them, and the kids were kind of oblivious, and then drinking out of their water hoses and coming in at, you know when the lights went on.
Yeah,
when the street lights come on. Yeah. So that's you know what they hold the pride on, is like, I drank out of the water hose and I stayed out to the street lights.
I wasn't in the house all day.
Yeah, good for you. You didn't learn shit. Yeah. But I think the ones that did stay inside and learn from grandma and grandpa, those are the ones that became the famous cooks, you know, like of their generation. Yeah. And the ones that stayed and learned those skills of how to work with food from top to bottom and not just get it out of a can. Yeah. Those are the ones that are doing well.
It's upsetting to me. Some people don't even understand where food comes from. You know, they'll say, oh, why would you have to go out and slaughter this chicken? Why would you have to go and kill this goat for food? Why don't you just go get it at the grocery store? Mm. Why don't you just go buy it like everyone else so you don't have to kill something?
Yeah.
What are you talking about? We should be connected to what we're putting in our bodies.
You should.
To disconnect yourself from that it's
a spiritual disconnection.
It is a spiritual disconnection.
Absolutely a spiritual disconnection.
You're just sitting there consuming.
Yeah.
You're taking everything in, and you're not giving anything else back out.
Is the true spiritual crisis in our culture today, is the disconnection from the spirit of their food and the spirit of the land where the food comes from. You've disconnected the umbilical cord from your mother earth. Mm-hmm. And you put it in a can.
You put it in a can.
You put it in a can, and you plopped it into a plastic bowl, and you've microwaved that thing.
Tasty.
And you've released all those chemicals.
Meat soup. That's what it is. It's just meat soup.
And now you just get the spirit of that.
That's the problem. You're not getting to eat the spirit. You should be there just sucking the spirit out of this animal. Yeah. You should be raising it, and you should. Hey, buddy. Hey, how you doing? Shoot it.
Absolutely.
Well, just like that.
Ammo's expensive.
Yeah, I'll walk you down how I slaughtered my sheep. Okay, and mainly for the audience, but it was very peaceful. Mm-hmm. And I say peaceful but it was peaceful for his end.
Yeah.
It wasn't so peaceful for my end, but
No.
he had no idea it was coming. You know, so I walked him over to where I was gonna hang him.
Mm-hmm.
I put food on the ground, and we pet him. Gave him his little goodbye, and he stuck his face in the grain, and just right behind the head, and lights out. Like he completely dropped. No,
And it's no pain to the end.
nothing.
It's
and
lights out.
As soon as he hit the ground, I dropped on top and sliced his throat. Opened his throat. And he was dead in less than 30 seconds.
Yeah.
But, I mean,
well, he was dead instantly.
He was dead in a split second, but like it was over in probably 30 seconds.
Well, but like the idea that someone would get pissed at you for doing that. Imagine if that sheep was out in the wild. How would it die? Some wolf would come up and start eating it from the ass up. Yeah. That's where they start. They start down at the crotch or
there's no
out of
teeth
the
in
ass.
that end.
And exactly. And they just eat it alive. That's what they do. And to get mad at someone who is trying to raise their own children, trying to grow their own food for doing that's appalling.
That's tyranny.
And I think that goes back to that disconnect from food. You know, you just go to the store and get it. Don't do that.
If you study the totalitarian systems of the 20th century that were trying to take over, like Stalin and Hitler and what's the guy that came out of Italy? Mussolini. Yeah. The first thing that they did was start demonizing the agricultural ends of the economic system. They demonized farmers right away.
Yeah.
And what Stalin did, I believe it was Russia. What he did was he told everyone that the farmers were stealing the land. Basically, is how it came about. Is he was telling the people that the farmers were bad, and that they were stealing the state's land. And so what the people did, he encouraged people to go in and start like raping farms, like raping and pillaging farms. Like they just went in and leveled out farms.
Wow.
Once all the farms were gone, then Russia went into
take control.
Well, no, they went into like a food drought because there was no food production. So there was some of like the worst 2 decades of Russia was coming out of Stalin.
Wow.
Because they got rid of all the farmers.
You can't do that. I mean,
control the food, you control the people.
It was just a food drought.
That's true. Like,
yeah. Control the food, control the people.
Control the speech.
Control the language, control the thought.
Yeah.
And I find that people that do not dive down rabbit holes, even if they seem crazy, like if you are not constantly diving down and trying to educate yourself with things that will constantly contradict your own views all the time, it's the same as tyrannizing yourself. You might as well just be Hitler burning books in the square if you're not studying books that are going against your own views as well.
Exactly. Like the term conspiracy theorist or conspiracy theory, I don't know if you know the definition. It's when you hear the term, oh, that's a conspiracy theory. Someone says that's a conspiracy theory. They think that you think that they're saying what you're saying is bullshit.
The word conspiracy is a conspiracy.
Exactly.
I mean,
to say something's a conspiracy is not outright saying it's wrong, but the word to label things like that as a whole is knocking these ideas down and making people look at them and say, "Oh, you're crazy. You think that there's a whole bunch of people conspiring against you." They couldn't be doing that. They couldn't be doing that at all. But we should be open to these ideas that maybe there is someone sitting there specifically screwing with us to beat us down.
I don't know that it's necessarily specifically to go against a certain class of people. I think it's more maybe it's more people are seeing opportunities, like people in high end positions, that all they're really doing is trying to make $1 for themselves more than anything.
Okay.
And it's not that like, oh, well, I see the middle class. Now I'm sure there are people that screw with markets
Okay,
intentionally, you know.
Yeah.
But I don't know if it's gonna be like, well, the working class in Indiana, I really hate those people, so I'm gonna like screw these people.
Have you
real
met
good.
the working class in India though?
I have. Actually, that's what I'm doing with this podcast. I want to go around and talk to the working class of Indiana for at least for now, until I
Yeah.
get bigger people. I get better.
Don't go to Illinois though. Screw that.
No, not Illinois. They kill you. Kill you in Illinois. Chicago is like #1 murder capital of the world right now.
It's really bad over there.
Gangland, man.
That and doesn't I think downtown LA they have a lot of
LA's
problems.
pretty bad.
San Francisco, LA.
Mm.
Yeah, they're really bad with the homeless right now.
Yeah.
That's a whole nother
Yeah,
like,
that-
conversation.
That's horrible.
It amazes me that anyone
How
moves
many
out
people?
to those places.
Now people move out there to be homeless.
Yeah,
It's a pipeline dream now.
it really is.
You get
You
supported.
get paid
Yeah,
to be homeless.
And it's easy to be homeless in California. The weather's beautiful all the
Yeah,
time.
yeah.
It rains once in a while. And like winter it gets down to like 50.
Oh no.
No,
Cuddle up with your buddy.
yeah. There's a lot of them that would be okay with that.
I was okay with that.
That's fair. I'd be okay with that if it was under the right
I'm
circumstances.
still okay with that.
Fair enough.
This is an invite in.
No, this isn't an invite. No. But, so we talked about what? Like, what were we talking about? Primitive skills, I think, was what we were kind of.
Depends on how far back you
How
wanna
far
track.
back did we go?
I think,
So-
long story short, you're going to be a cult leader by.
That's not. Yeah, maybe. No, I actually, the last time I had a get together for our curiosity night, it was my birthday, and I said that the shadow of my personality is a cult leader. If it was to just be, if the shadow part of me was to be manifested into the world, so like if it was just fed with evil, like narcissism, and you know, to just let the full narcissist out. That's it. That would be my cult leader. That'd be a cult leader side of me.
Yeah.
That would be me. I can't do that.
You'd be a good cult leader, though.
Stop it. Stop.
I'm making you
Encourage you.
reconsider.
No, I don't want to be a cult leader. I want I could be a revolutionary. I think Jesus was a revolutionary.
Yeah.
You know, I think
Yeah.
Jesus came in and like Jesus was a cult leader, like straight up. Like, he was a cult leader, but
Yeah.
he was also a revolutionary. And he came in and he said, "Hey, the way you think about church right now is not the way you should be thinking about it. This is how you should be thinking about it." The Pharisees hated him.
Mm-hmm.
People that disagreed with him, the people of the establishment, and that were the closed-minded, church pew sitting people in the establishment that were just in their comfort zone and didn't want to think about it any differently. Killed him.
Yeah.
I don't want to be that guy. I do not want crucified.
You don't want to be crucified.
But I will
Yeah, it'd be
do my
fun, though.
best to speak out against it as much as I can. You know,
Against crucifixion?
the establishment
Okay.
and tyranny at all levels. I think church is a tyranny of spirituality.
I think to look at the Bible the same, like to only look at the Bible once and say this is the only way that you can interpret it is absolute tyranny, and we should be morphing the way we look at the Bible. I mean,
Look at where the church is today compared to where it was just 150 years ago, 200 years ago, 300. They don't even look the same. Don't even look the same. But people would like to tell you that this is how it's been the whole time. This is the way we're going to do it. This is the way it should be done. It's like, no. This is an evolving system, and you're just stuck.
it should be evolving.
It's
There
always
shouldn't
evolving.
be anything rigid in the world.
No.
I mean, you look back, the Pharisees, they would have just had the Old Testament. They'd be sitting there reading it. This is what's right. This is the only thing that's allowed. And now we're living under this new law, the New Testament, and we're looking at the Old Testament. Well, this isn't wrong, of course, but it's not still in effect. We're living under the new law.
Mm-hmm.
Why do we look at the world and say there will never be another new law? Why can't there be another thing why can't we look again and say
It's still kind of like a new moral, almost.
exactly, yeah.
Or a new moral decision. Not necessarily. Are you saying like a law for like a judiciary law, or are you talking like a law as in? Like,
I'm talking more like a moral law,
law.
More like I guess it'd be more like social laws.
Social law. Okay.
It's why do we look at it as this rigid thing that can never be interpreted differently? When
Well, people obviously do interpret it differently. I mean, you have
Yeah.
communism. That's a whole different socialistic setup.
I guess I'd be talking about the church more.
Oh, okay.
Like specifically, the church doesn't really, within the last, I guess it'd be my generation, it doesn't really seem to be evolving much at all. It.
Because people are getting out of the church more.
I guess it would be.
I think when the young people decide that the boat doesn't hold water, or it's letting in too much water, that's a better metaphor. It's time to bail.
Yeah.
You know, so I think when you have, I've always seen spirituality. Not always. I can't say always. That's a lie. I see
Since the dawn of time.
in the beginning.
In the beginning, there was Stephen.
I see spirituality, let's say, as the whole concept. I see it as, let's just look at it as a pizza or a sphere. All right, or let's just look at it as a pizza. Let's put it 2-dimensional instead of 3-dimensional.
Spirituality.
Spirituality. Circular analogy now. But it's, I look at it as a pizza. Right, in the center. You know how they always put that little like box protector on?
Oh yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
That's spirituality as a whole. Because the box protector is spirituality as a whole. Every slice is looking in towards it.
Mm-hmm.
Christianity, Buddhism, Hinduism,
All just slices
Islam.
in there.
It's all slices looking towards spirituality.
And all of them are right except for the one with pineapples.
I love pineapple.
No,
I
it's
love
great.
pineapple
It's
on my
great on
pizza.
pizza. Okay, anchovies. I can't say that I've tried it.
Well, here's the thing. Like, it's however you want to look at your spirituality.
Exactly.
You know. But here's the other thing. If you're saying that your slice is the only slice that should ever be picked out of this box,
Mm-hmm.
you're nuts.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
You know. And maybe it's that I want part of this slice and most of this slice. You know.
Mm-hmm.
But it's, I think, how you interpret it. That. You have so many different ways of looking.
You
at
should be
spirituality.
looking at it as a whole. You shouldn't just.
Absolutely.
You shouldn't just look at it and say, "This is my slice. This is what I think the best slice is. Therefore, screw all those other slices. Get rid of them. Who cares about that?"
But everyone is looking towards one thing. It's that spirituality concept, and you can say it's God, and you can be arrogant and say it's only your God. But your story comes from somewhere else.
Mm-hmm.
Like, your story didn't start with where you think your story started. Your story started well before you think, most people have not studied the history of the religion that they believe.
Mm-hmm.
And how it came to be. They only believe the book and how the book says it came about.
Mm-hmm.
They don't go past like how that book came to be in the first place. It's just like somehow this holy book came about.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And then this is the history.
It just showed up.
It just showed up, and these are the words of God.
Yeah.
And I don't think that that's necessarily how it is.
It itself says that it's the word
it
of God.
itself says it's the truth, so therefore it's the truth.
Yeah.
Yes. I don't necessarily believe that. I can go into a whole complicated rabbit hole of why that is,
Mm-hmm.
but maybe now is not the time.
Yeah. I don't know. I think I don't know.
Yeah.
You shouldn't discount other religions just because you've only gone to your church. You know, you've only studied just this one book.
Yeah. All right, go lay down, bud. Go lay down.
Isaac, you got any opinions on this?
I mean, kind of just like along those lines, like who says yours is right, theirs is wrong. Like,
Well, your preacher says. Your preacher says that.
True. Yeah.
I'm not the preacher.
Fair.
Anyway, maybe we've done this long enough. We beat it to death long enough. So maybe.
Well, hasn't everyone though? Not enough people. Not enough people, I guess.
Not enough people. I hope that maybe you guys come on again. Yeah. It's been a cool conversation, and maybe the next time it won't be so awkward. We'll be a little more comfortable and a little more prepared.
Yeah.
And get down some, I don't know, a little bit more deeper rabbit holes and be a little more specific as to the conversation.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's been a good run. Thanks for coming on.
Thank you.
Thanks for having us.
Yeah, so we can find you on Facebook.
No,
we're not gonna do all that. But yeah, that'd be fun. So good luck in your adventures of being young men, and good luck.